All right, let's jump right in. If you've ever watched the markets, you know it's pure chaos. The prices of pretty much everything are constantly moving, and for businesses that rely on raw materials, that chaos is a really big deal. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see how they try to tame it.
You know, for us, seeing the price of oil or lumber change might just be a number on a screen, but imagine your entire company depends on that stuff. Suddenly, those price swings aren't just numbers, they're a massive risk to your bottom line. Heck, for some, it's a threat to their very survival.
And that leads us to the billion-dollar question, right? If you have no idea what prices are going to do tomorrow or next month or next year, how on earth do you build a strategy? How do you plan for a future that is fundamentally unpredictable?
Well, here's the secret. It starts with a change in mindset. You're not trying to stop the price roller coaster, because you can't. The goal is to build a much safer, much smarter car to ride in. It's all about managing that risk intelligently.
And this is absolutely crucial. Professional risk management has nothing to do with a crystal ball. It's not about betting on whether prices will go up or down. The real game is to maximize your profits for the amount of risk you're willing to take. You're shifting from just gambling to playing with a calculated, repeatable strategy.
So to manage all that chaos, you first have to measure it. You need to get a handle on the basic forces that are driving all this market motion. And really, it all boils down to two key ideas.
First up is volatility. Now, a lot of people hear volatility and just think risk, but it's a bit more specific. The best way to think about it is like an asset's mood swings. It's just a measure of how fast and how far its price tends to jump around. Low volatility is calm and steady. High volatility is, well, it's all over the place.
So how do we measure these mood swings? We use a tool called standard deviation. And don't worry about the math. Just look at this bell curve. All it's really saying is that most of the time, price changes are going to be pretty small and clumped together in the middle. Those huge, crazy swings way out on the edges, they can happen, but they're way, way less likely. It's basically a map of an asset's normal behavior.
Okay, so volatility tells us about one asset all by itself. But what about how different assets interact? That's where our second building block comes in, correlation. This basically describes their relationship status. When one thing moves, what does the other thing usually do?
And this chart breaks it down perfectly. A correlation of +1 means they're attached at the hip. They move in lockstep. -1 means they're perfect opposites, like a mirror image. And 0, they're total strangers. One moving has absolutely no predictable effect on the other. And let me tell you, understanding this is the entire secret to building a portfolio that can weather a storm.
Okay, so we've got our two key ingredients, the individual mood swings, volatility, and the relationship status, correlation. Now we need an engine that can take these pieces and put them into motion to see what might happen down the road.
And that engine is a powerful tool called the Monte Carlo simulation. I like to call it a future generator. See, it doesn't try to predict the future, because that's impossible. Instead, it uses volatility and correlation to create thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of possible futures.
And here's a peek under the hood at how it works. The simulation starts with today's price. Then it hits it with a random little shock that's based on its known volatility. After that, it looks at the correlation to see how all the other assets should react. It does this again and again for every single day in the forecast. And then it does that whole thing over again 10,000 times to build this incredible map of possibilities.
So what do you get when you run 10,000 simulations? You get a mess. It's this giant, fuzzy cloud of data points. To make any sense of it, we need to boil all that complexity down into one single, useful number that answers a very simple but very important question.
And that question is the one that probably keeps a lot of business owners up at night. It's simply this. Okay, forget the best case. On a really, really bad day, what's the damage? What's the most I can realistically expect to lose?
The answer to that question has a name: value at risk, or VAR for short. This is the single most important number that comes out of that massive Monte Carlo simulation. Honestly, the best way to think of VAR is as the big red warning light on your financial dashboard. It takes all that future chaos and distills it into one number that says, hey, pay attention to this.
And to understand any VAR number, you just need to know its three parts. It's super simple. First, how much money are we talking about? Second, over what period of time? Usually it's just one day. And third, what's the confidence level? This is usually something high, like 95%.
So let's make this real. Imagine our future generator runs its 10,000 simulations, and at the end, it spits out this number for tomorrow's potential loss: $10,000.
So if we put all the pieces together, a one-day 95% VAR of $10,000 means we are 95% sure that our losses tomorrow won't be more than 10 grand. But, and this is the part people miss, it also tells you about that other 5% of the time. It means that about one day a month, on average, you should fully expect to lose more than $10,000. It defines the edge of a normal bad day.
All right, this brings us to the final and, frankly, the most important part of this whole thing. How does a company take all this nerdy math and actually use it to make smart decisions in the real world?
Well, it's all about this transformation. It's about taking that abstract financial data, all the charts and numbers and simulations, and turning it into a concrete strategy. It's like playing chess. You stop just reacting to what the market does to you, and you start anticipating its moves and planning your own.
Because once you know your value at risk, you can do some really powerful things. You can see exactly where your biggest dangers are coming from. You can build a smart hedging plan to protect yourself. You can use financial tools to shield your company from harm. You can finally make truly informed decisions that safeguard your profits from the wildness of the market.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought. Taming chaos isn't about predicting the one true future. It's about being ready for the whole range of what could happen. So ask yourself, if you could see 10,000 possible futures for your business, you wouldn't just plan for the best one, would you? You'd make sure you were prepared for the ones that keep you in the game no matter what comes next.